So first of all, you got through the talk. That's the most important part. So the first thing I wanted to ask for any of you to answer is the first thing that happened to you that inspired you to design around this issue. What's the first thing you can remember that made you decide, this is what I want to work towards, this is what needs improvement, or this is what I'm excited about? Take a moment.
I mean, for me, living and growing up in New York City has always been kind of something to figure out and to navigate. So when approaching thesis project, it was just clear to me that working with New York City and trying to understand it was what I needed to do. So for me, it was just clear that maps were the way into that and the way to kind of tackle that problem.
And you grew up in New York, correct?
Correct.
Looking back on your childhood, do you wish you had had your own tool to discover more?
Absolutely.
Not that there's any other answer in that context.
So in a previous life, I was a research analyst, and I was forever frustrated by the quality of data that I was getting, because it wasn't really reflective of people. It really wasn't reflective of the things that I wanted to know about how people were experiencing things like movies or different types of entertainment. So becoming a designer, I was like, oh, I can actually solve this problem. And that was one of a big revelation for me. And a big part of how design is so important to me is like, oh, there's a problem, I can actually go solve that problem.
I think for me, one thing I appreciate most for this program is, as an interaction designer, we are able to do much more than I thought before. Before I was thinking we'll design stuff on screen, we design apps, we design website. But right now I feel it's much more. We can design something, change the service to improve the space. So yeah, so when I started my program, my project, I was thinking, oh, I need to build something fun, high technology, outside of the screen. So I built my project, and yeah, it's so it's really hard, like for this whole year. But I feel like through building stuff and talking with people, I learned a lot. Really, it's just a great project. I really loved doing it.
I'd say from the start I knew I wanted to focus on community. I felt that I had moved a lot in the last year. And I think one things I felt that brought me close together with the people in my community was my dog, and just using him as the medium. So I thought it would be a fun, I guess, project to work on.
Thank you. So my next question might be a little tougher, so we'll see who wants to take the first stab at it. I see a common theme in your projects of discovery versus revealing something that's already there versus integrating information that's there into one's life. Can any of you maybe talk about how you see the difference between those, between discovering something new or revealing something that's already there, or bringing it more naturally into your own life or your own community?
That's a really hard question.
Difference between discovering something new and revealing something that's already there.
Right. So like in your project, for example, there's both. And actually having a balance of both is important, is it?
Definitely. I don't know. You want to?
Yeah, sure. So, okay, so in Civic View, we all have emotions. We all respond emotionally to space. So that's already there. But now, what's fantastic about the last few years is we have the technology to actually demonstrate that. So by using biometric technology, we can actually understand that emotional state. And that wasn't something we had before. And so that was what was really interesting to me, was that this project was not possible a few years ago. And it's only through technology that we can reveal things that are already there. And then start to ask questions. So it's a point to start asking questions as opposed to having like the actual answer. And I thought that was also a really important part of the project.
Right, like in both of yours, there's kind of the suggestion of something hidden that you can only discover through these new tools. Yes. And Effy, in your project, the information is already there, present, but it's not useful unless it appears at the right time, correct?
Yeah. I was thinking right now, so at the beginning when I'm doing my thesis, I'm trying to think, can we design something better, replace than what we have? But then it's a habit. We use our smartphone every day. It has so many data on it. Then I feel like instead of I replace it, can I take the data for better use? Can I design something to access information like easier? That's how I came out my project. But then thinking with the technology, we have a lot of sensors available. We know our environment better. We can gathering other information around us instead of only your personal information you put on your phone. So bring them together. There's a new way just to push the information to you instead of you need input and to get the output. So I feel like while doing this project, I'm thinking more about extend your experience outside of your digital like tools. So I guess this part is more like improving instead of trying to replace, but also we take advantage of what we already have. So it's also a seamless experience. You see it and you can see it in another place in an easier way.
I also think that just the difficulty of the question is that we're all actually revealing things that are already there. So nothing is actually new, and it's our designs that are tweaking out these things that are there. So it's just a matter of that was the problem with all of ours, right? It's utilizing kind of these new tools and these new approaches to show the information that's there that we know is useful to the communities that they're designed for.
Right. Beautifully said.
Oh, great.
Jeffrey, you want to add a last thing before we move on to our next group?
I mean, it's very similar, I think, with Luke. So I was like, we're trying to reveal information about things that people already knew or wanted to know versus like having the community be able to contribute to that and allow them to share the information that they know so that other people can further explore what's going on with their city.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And we will now move on to the next group. We can have another round of applause for this one.